So a lot of people ask me, how the heck did you lose over $100 million and go bankrupt? When I was 30 years old, imagine being a multimillionaire coming and growing up from nothing. 2 years after that day, I had to claim bankruptcy. Imagine 33 homes, golf course, ski mountain, multi-million dollars, over $100 million, all gone. I'm now living in a rented house with rented furniture and one car, calm and at ease, confident and inspired that it all would come back to me.
Welcome back to Inspire Change with Jordan Mulligan, and today I sit down with businessman, entrepreneur, and absolute legend, David Meltzer. Now, unfortunately, I could not actually fly out to go see David and make this documentary and this interview. So my good friend, who's an unbelievable filmmaker, Ruaridh, he flew out with a film crew and he made this happen. So thank you to their film crew for making this happen. This is David Meltzer, who went from losing $100 million to building it all back up. And he has some unbelievable stories and unbelievable secrets and philosophies and teachings on how to build wealth and become successful in your life. Today's video was sponsored by Thankyou, a quick, affordable, nutritionally complete source of food with everything that your body needs. I absolutely swear by these. Let's dive into the episode with David Meltzer.
How do you handle pressure?
One of the most common questions people ask me is, how do I handle pressure? Pressure is interesting to me because, remember, I believe that I'm at ease. So pressure is created by dis-ease. And dis-ease is truly created by ego-based consciousness. And so there's 4 steps to deal with pressure. One is to identify the need of the ego that is determinative upon creating pressure. See, the ego is not what most people think the ego is. The ego does edge goodness out of your life. The ego is not your amigo. This is all true, but it's not just a narcissist, a self-serving, greedy, egotistical type of ego. See, the ego is what creates the pressure, and the pressure is created by the needs of the ego. Let me explain what they are. The need to be right creates pressure. The needs to be separate from, the need to be inferior, the need to be superior, the need to be anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful. All of these needs, and there's many more, they create pressure in your life. It's an illusion. It's a self-prophecy that creates a closing of the learning curve, a closing of the comfort zone. This is where the pressure is created. So what do? One, we practice identifying, especially what we're more apt to be needy of. So for example, I have a terrible need to be offended. And it's a terrible need to have, because the minute I walk outside, I have a need to be offended. You know how easy it is to be offended? I always tell people, I wish I could feed the world as easily with their need to be hungry that I do myself with the need to be offended. I walk outside, I'm like, oh, can you believe that person's walking by my, right? It's amazing. Do you know how much time, emotion, value, and energy is wasted by this pressure creating ego-based consciousness? So what do? We practice identifying it. Now, counterintuitive to after we're able to identify the ego-based consciousness that creates pressure, don't resist it. See, the natural reaction to the need to be guilty, resentful, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, and angry is to resist it, to go over it, under it, through it, around it, oversell it, back end sell it, lie to it, manipulate and cheat it. Don't do it. Simply stop. Simply stop. Breathe through your nose, out through your mouth. Breathe, get to center, get at ease. And then roll towards what you want, who you can help, who can help you, how best to get it done, and prioritize what's important to you. Not what's important to other people, what's missing and what you don't want, but what's important to you, and apply that why. Don't search for something you already have. Apply the why. If you can identify this pressure, these ego-based consciousness, these needs, and stop, drop, and roll, you'll spend minutes and moments each day under pressure, and the majority of your life at ease, in the flow, where things come to you effortlessly, rapidly, and accurately.
Interesting. I like that. And you're talking about the why, which is actually one question I have. So when you were starting out, how did you find your why?
Well, when I started out, I didn't realize the why was within. the why existed through my faith that I didn't have, that there's something bigger than me that loves me more than my mom loved me. So my why was more on the motivation side of why. See, there's two sides of why. The motivation side of why gets you up, gets you back up, gets you started, gets you back started, but it's a soul sucker. It's an unbelievable energy, but it can't get you there. The why that I live on today is the inspired why, which we were talking about before. But when I started out, I lived on that motivational side of why. My why was to buy my mom a house and a car. It was based off of putting my attention and intention onto an effect, an outcome. Everything I did was for that outcome, to buy my mom a house and a car, because I believed that money would buy me love and happiness. The only love and happiness that was missing in my life was financial love and happiness. I was blessed to have an extraordinary mom, extraordinary family, extraordinary siblings, extraordinary health. All the things that I don't take for granted today that other people wish for, I had them already. I just thought, to complete the set, that my why would be this economic, unbelievable gain. And I had to learn the lessons. Like I told you, a lot of pain, setbacks, failures, mistakes had occurred in my life to say that I don't have to search for my why. I need to apply my why. Still under the context of enjoying the consistent everyday, persistent without quit, pursuit of my potential, my truth. But instead of putting my attention and intention on the outcomes, I moved it over to the cause, which decreased the interval of time, because the interval of time exists between cause and effect. When people put their attention and intention on an outcome, guess what? It takes a lot longer. Not just pragmatically a lot longer, but worse, exponentially longer in relative time. So if you and I, we sit here in Southern California, we're driving to Maine, and all you keep telling me is, I can't wait to get to Maine. Oh my God, we're gonna be eating lobster in Maine. This is gonna be amazing. I'll be so happy when we're in Maine. And all I look at is, all right, what's the most efficient way to get to Maine? Should I pack my food? Should I bring a bucket for me to go to the bathroom? I'm going to drive as efficiently as I can, and my attention's on the cause. Yours is on the outcome. I not only will get there faster pragmatically in man-made constructive time in the 24 hours a day, but relatively, even if you beat me in pragmatic time, which you probably won't, relatively, it will take you so much longer to get there, which is true time, the relativity of time. So you do get caught up in the details of how you're going to achieve that why. So you do stop and take a look. Yeah, well, I'm applying my why to get to a midterm or long-term objectives. I'm very systematic about the activities I have during the day. So I have these 5 daily practices that allow me to take in increments of one day and use midterm and long-term objectives as a trajectory, not an outcome. So each day I wake up and say, yeah, in 6 years when my son graduates from high school, this is what I want to do. I'm going to make some changes in my business, of the activity I get paid for, the activity I don't get paid for, spend more time doing this. I want to live to over 111 years old. So that's a very long-term objective. So then I say, well, considering these things that I'm looking to do, it might be buy a penthouse in San Diego when I'm 60. Now, all I focus in on today is, what do I need to do to move in that trajectory? Personally, experientially, giving-wise, and receiving-wise. Then I say to myself, now that I know what I need to do today, who can I help with what I want to do and who can help me? Then I move to how to do it. How can I be efficient? And the 3 lenses of how, by the way, which have really changed my life, is when I look at how it's going to happen, I look at how can I be more productive, provide more value, how can I be more accessible, which is a bifocal lens. So it's not just how am I more accessible to others, but how am I accessing what I want, personally, experientially, giving and receiving, and the lens of gratitude. The lens of gratitude is the ability to find what? The light, the love, and the lessons in it, which decrease the relativity of time, as well gives me a more positive mindset, more positive heart set. I feel better, and allows me to be more efficient, effective, and statistically successful with my actual hand set. And so I use those lenses to see the activity I plan, don't have planned in my sleep, which we can get to, and the activity I get paid for and I don't get paid for. Once I do that, my what, my who, and my how, then I can prioritize my now. Still keeping into consideration the trajectory that I want to buy a penthouse when I'm 60 and I want to live to over 111. Too many people spend their whole day worrying about the penthouse when they're 60 and living to 111, but they don't do what it's going to take to get there. And then they wonder why they're, once again, getting what they're missing, what they don't want, or what other people want for them, because they haven't utilized this exercise.
Can you tell me about how much do you sleep?
Sleep is one of my favorite topics. I study sleep, but it's also the only mentor that I've had for over a decade. I have a sleep coach. So sleep's the most important thing in my life. It's the number one habit that everybody shares and spends on average a third of your life, 8 hours a day. On average, most people spend sleeping. The most frustrating thing about sleep to me is that the majority of the world goes to sleep at night and wakes up more tired than the one that went to bed. It doesn't make sense. We could all go out to eat, and 2 hours later, if we all looked at each other and said, man, I'm hungry, we would know there's a problem. But there's some reason people don't focus in on sleep. On the average person's life, it's 26 years of your life, and they have the wrong idea about sleep. Sleep is not rest. Sleep is recovery and access. So for me, I have studied my sleep. I have a sleep coach. I travel over 200 days a year, but I get better sleep for recovery, to put my mind, body, soul in a more recovered position the next day, but also to access information. See, I plateau and grow. Most people live their life like a tube because they don't understand sleep. What does that mean? Food in, food out. They're tubes. They live like the stranger in Camus. Right? The myth of Sisyphus says, push a boulder to the top of the hill all day long. And where's it at the next day? At the bottom of the hill? No, if you study your sleep, know exactly what your sleep cycles are. Mine's an hour and 32 minutes. I know that I can't wake up in the middle of a sleep cycle. I'm better off to have 2 sleep cycles than 2.5. And so for me, I have an unwinding routine. I shifted the paradigm of man-made constructive time. My tomorrow starts today. So people ask me, when's your day start? 9 p.m. You wake up at 9 p.m. No, I don't wake up at 9 p.m. But what I do is I unwind at 9 p.m. every night. I put myself in a position to recover and access information subconsciously and unconsciously so I can plateau and grow. I'm not starting my day at the bottom of the hill. I'm not living like a tube. I'm actually putting myself in a better position to accelerate, grow, just like the universe is. And it's amazing. That's why I meditate first thing in the morning. It used to be to practice being quiet. Once I get good at that, it's actually to access the information that I've downloaded from the night before. And my mind, body, and soul is in a better position. So I'm growing and accelerating, and I'm notating a new baseline for the day. Why? So I can identify the pressure. I can identify the ego-based consciousness, stop, drop, and roll, and go back to that baseline.
Can you talk about your meditation and the calligraphy that goes with that? If you could, thank you.
So a lot of people are curious about accessing. They understand recovery, but accessing information. It's a download. In fact, I utilize calligraphies that were given to me by a master, a Chinese master, a Zhigong healer, a mind, body, and soul transmission specialist who taught me about downloading from the universe. In order to believe this, though, you have to go back to the shift in my entire paradigm in my 30s when I lost everything and decided I wasn't in control, that there's something bigger than me, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that would only teach me through pain, setbacks, and failures. This is how the human aspect of these, information comes. But if you don't have faith, then you're always being punished. What do I mean? When I was 3 years old, my mom, single mom, raised 6 kids, worked 2 jobs. My wife always says the problem with me is my mom never hit me. Because she was a second grade teacher, right? She talks to everybody like a second. I'm 54 years old. She still talks to me like a second grader. But one day when I was 3, I went to go touch a stove, like a lot of 3-year-olds, put my hand in the fire. And I went to reach, and my mom slapped the crap out of the back of my hand and screamed, no. I, of course, immediately cried, looked at her and was like, Mom, why are you punishing me? And she immediately hugged me and said, son, I'm not punishing you, I'm protecting you. I'm promoting you. I wouldn't want anything to hurt you. When I got older, I started realizing I really believe and something that's omniscient, that knows everything and loves me more than my mom. So how does they stop me from the wrong relationship, the wrong business deal? Slaps me, pain, setbacks, failures. That's not punishment, that's protection. And so when I realized and had this face, I said, how do I get to that information without being slapped? Without having mistakes, failures, and setbacks. And I've learned through many Sadhguru, Deepak Chopra, Master Shah, people who have millions and millions of impactful followers, intelligent leaders themselves, that I could download the information without being hurt. And one of the vehicles to do that is meditation. Another one is sleep, but there's also a mechanical way through calligraphy. So Chinese Master Shah, creates a calligraphy with information and access in it. So I don't necessarily just have to sleep. So I've actually incorporated a financial one that's in my gym in the garage, where I do squats and trace it with 5 fingers and receive a download, a clearing of that interference and pressure. And I have one upstairs, which is a family one, where I have downloads to protect and promote my family, my health, all the intangibles that are most important to me, because these are the non-negotiables in my life. Number one's my health. If you're healthy, you get as many wishes a day as you want. You're a true resource. If you're unhealthy, even Steve Jobs only had one wish. And so I use that health one upstairs, family number 2, non-negotiable in my life, and then activity I get paid for number 3. So I use 2 calligraphies to give me a head start on my day, so that I don't necessarily have to get everything from sleep or from pain, setbacks, failures, and mistakes. I have a shortcut, a hack, and they're called calligraphies. Now, I have to have a caveat in here, because I am sure there's many people listening going, this guy is out of his effing mind. Here's the rule. Same with my bracelets, by the way. Number 1 rule for me is it going to hurt me or anyone else? I've actually incorporated my calligraphies into my workout. So even if it doesn't work, quote unquote, it's helping me, because I'm getting 60 squats in a day, because I squat with it and I stretch at the bottom. So number 1, does it help me or hurt me? Does it hurt anyone else? And then 2, does it work for me? So if I'm talking about the power of these blessed bracelets or my calligraphy tracing, I want everybody to know this. Just doesn't hurt you, and see if it works for you. If it doesn't, don't do it. But if it does, let me tell you, it's incredibly valuable.
I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Today's video was sponsored by Huel, a quick, affordable, nutritionally complete source of food with everything that your body needs. I've used these guys for the past 2 years because I fly around the world. I run the business. I do the podcast. I host the show. We do the documentaries, all that kind of stuff. And when we're doing that and we're in a random place on the other side of planet Earth, to find a nutritionally complete food with protein and everything that I need in my body is very difficult. So to know I can reach in my bag, grab a bottle of Huel, and as a plant-based athlete has been an absolute game changer. Let's dive back into the episode.
Can you talk about compassion in business?
A lot of people ask me about compassion in business because I wrote a book, Compassionate Capitalism. And it's so interesting. I take compassion in business as the empty mile. And let me explain this. Everybody talks about the extra mile. The problem with the extra mile is it's extremely crowded. You know why? Because most people go the extra mile every once in a while. Every once in a while. And then the extra mile is super crowded because you have all these infrequent visitors to the extra mile, and it gets super crowded. See, the empty mile, the one that the true champions live in, the one that the spirit of excellence just aggregates itself in, is the people that go the extra mile every single day. And in capitalism and in business, compassion is the extra mile. It's the empty mile if you do it every day. So in normal business, the objective is to make money. The empty mile or the compassionate mile of business is to not only make a lot of money, but help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. This is compassionate capitalism. This is compassionate business. So it takes it beyond what most people are challenged with in the extra mile. I'm going to make a lot of money with my business. I'm going to be super successful. It takes it to not only am I going to make a lot of money, I'm going to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. This is the core of my life's mission, is to teach people to be happy. The definition for me to create in this man-made world, if I can teach people to not only make money, help people, and have fun, but to teach other people to make money, help people, and have fun, it would be amazing, the collective consciousness of happiness and abundance that we would all live in. We would all live in the world of more than enough. Not just enough, not enough, but more than enough of everything for everyone.
Interesting. Like the idea of the extra mile is actually compassion. Do you feel like that's missing in business?
In isolated incidences, everything's missing in business. There are people who do it. Do they do it every day? There's very few that live in the empty mile of compassionate capitalism, but I will say that it's trending that way. That's what's so encouraging to me, right? If you look at every aspect of business, people worry about impact, whether it's sustainability, equity, inclusion, whatever the issues are, it's greater than the money now. And so many people are resonating with the mission statement I created years ago with Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon when we sat in my office and I called him QB1 Kenobi. I had this long mission statement. He said, "What the F does this mean, Dave?" And I read the first 3 sentences. I said, "That means make a lot of money." He goes, "Okay. What's this mean? Help people? Okay. What's this last piece? Have fun. Okay, why don't you just say that, moron?" The moron sits here corrected by QB1 Kenobi. And it's truly a simple, I always tell people that it's really hard to make things simple. So if you make things simple, you know you've done the work. And so if you can articulate things simply or you understand them in a simple way, you've done the work.
I'd love to know how you prioritize and execute your missions and your goals.
Prioritization is the antidote to procrastination. Prioritization is the antidote to the abundant feeling of being overwhelmed, especially today with the pandemic. So many people ask me, I feel so overwhelmed. And I say thank you. They look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, what do you mean say thank you? I said, if you feel overwhelmed, that means you're living in the world of more than enough. You have more than enough things to do, more than enough people to see, more than enough parties to go to, more than enough options. You just don't know how to prioritize. So in order to prioritize, I revert back to the 5 daily practices. You know if what you want, if you know the what, the who, and the how. And in order to prioritize, you need to know what's important to you, not what's urgent. Too many people react. And so then they accelerate from this, as you called pressure, I call the ego-based consciousness, they accelerate in the wrong direction. They actually increase the void, shortage, or obstacle when they try to resist, overcome, oversell, back and sell, manipulate, lie, take a shortcut. They get mad, angry, anxious, and frustrated. They start accelerating farther in the wrong direction. Then they wonder why they have such a void, why there's so many obstacles. If you stop, drop, and roll, if you prioritize by what's important to you, and I really mean this, people spend most of their time trying to get what other people want for them. Just because someone loves you doesn't mean they gave you good advice. It doesn't. My mom told me when I got into law school, I had a law job and an internet job. My mom actually told me in 1992, the internet was a fad. Nobody would ever do research on the internet. I was making the biggest mistake of my life. Nobody loves me except for the omniscient more than my mom, but she gave me bad advice. Why? Because she doesn't know anything about the internet or business. So you want to make sure you know what's important to you, not what's urgent. Urgency is a subset of importance. If you know what is important with you, by who you can help and who can help you, and how best to get it done with productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, with efficient, effective, and statistically successful activity, you'll be able to prioritize every day. In fact, when things come up, as they often do, that aren't planned, they're not activity planned, they're activity that's unplanned, you'll know exactly where to fit them in. I wrote a book called Game Time Decision Making, which is all about the ability to prioritize what's important to you to get what you want every day in a trajectory of your midterm and long-term objectives. And remember, the key to this whole formula is not being afraid of changing your mind, not being afraid of being a hypocrite. It drives me crazy when people make fun of people. Oh, that's not what you said yesterday. And they start putting them down. They start attacking them like, slow down. I got a fast learner here. If someone's changing their mind day to day, they're learning something. I'm interested, not interesting. Right? My favorite line is to be more interested than interesting. within the context of that, you need to be a hypocrite. You need to be able to say, I know I told you, not to buy that house, but I was wrong because I learned all these things, or the circumstances and situations changed because I'm more interested. I changed my mind. This is the key to prioritization.
We're going to wrap up shortly, but what I want to ask you is maybe a personal question, but who is David Meltzer?
I get choked up when someone asks me who's David Meltzer, because he's so much different than who he thought he was. For me, David Meltzer is radical humility and kindness. Living my life, my name, David Meltzer, means beloved servant. I'm here to be of service and of value, and I live my entire life in humility to be of service to others.
Was there a specific family member that helped you through this process that you can really look to?
There's two family members that have helped me through this to learn the lessons faster. One is my mom, who has shown me unconditional love. You're looking at someone that lost over $100 million 16 years ago and had to walk over to his mom's house and tell her not only was he bankrupt, but he lost her house, the only reason he wanted to be rich. And the answer was, how can I help you? Do you need any money? And then the second is my wife, who saved my life, who at that time pointed out that I needed to take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. I'd moved from the world of not enough as a victim, where everything happened to me, to this world of just enough, buying things I didn't need to impress people I didn't like. And my wife, by telling me she wasn't happy and I was going to end up in a bad place, even dead, if she didn't stand up. There's a great book that says, don't take yes for an answer. My wife gave me the big no, and she stuck with me after she gave me the big no to go ahead and take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. And without those two women, I wouldn't be here.
Lastly, how do you implement change within yourself?
In order to implement change within yourself, you have to actually know the three things that you have in control of yourself. The first is you have to remember, and recollect that you have control of your mindset, that you give meaning to everything that you see. The second is you have control of your heart set. You have control of the way you feel. And then finally, you have control of your handset. You have control of the activities that you do each day. Activity you get paid for, activity you don't get paid for, activity you have planned, activity you don't have planned, and even your sleep. If you realize that you have control of your mindset, heart set, and handset, then you'll realize that the world is always changing, growing, and accelerating around you. And it will allow you to work in symbiosis with that change. You will accelerate, grow, and learn. You will be able to find the light, the love, and the lessons through gratitude. Forgive yourself for the mistakes, failures, and setbacks. Take accountability to continue to attract more of what you want and learn from the stuff that you didn't. And most importantly, live inspired. Live in spirit, connected to the greatest source, this omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves you more than your mom loves you, and to be a resource for others, to give that same love, that same light, and those same lessons to others, to empower them, to empower others, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun.
There is one question. I'd love to talk about this because it is inspiring, and it sounds very difficult, what you went through. Could you talk to me about when you did go through that loss, the 100 million loss, and how you came out of that?
So a lot of people ask me, how the heck did you lose over $100 million and go bankrupt? And it was really 3 points in my life that I look back now to say, this is how it happened. And 2, I will tell you how I got out of it, which is a lot of what I've explained already. So when I was 30 years old, imagine being a multimillionaire coming and growing up from nothing. Not only a multimillionaire, but I was running Samsung's phone division, the CEO of the world's first smartphone. They didn't even call it a smartphone in 1999. It was called a convergence device. It converged a phone and computer. But I was also married to my dream girl from the 4th grade, who my best friend Rob at 6th grade camp asked her to go steady with me And she said no, and he made fun of me in front of everyone. And so I got mad at her and threw an egg at her and then threw rocks at her and asked her why her friends were prettier than her. Imagine I'm now living at 30, married to my dream girl, a multimillionaire with an unbelievable position. And my dad, who left me at 5, gives me a birthday present, the first one in 20 years. He sends me a jacket. I'm so excited just to get a birthday present from my father. I think in my head, oh my gosh, he wants to have a relationship with me. He gets it. He wants my forgiveness for all the things that he's done to me. And I open up the jacket and I put it on and it fits perfectly and I start to cry. And my wife's like, what's the matter? I said, he actually cared enough to find out exactly my size. It fits perfectly. So I open it up to see if it says especially made for my son's birthday or Armani. He tore out all the pockets. I went from complete joy to hate, to anger. And I called him up and I said, Dad, why are you punishing me? I said, what are you talking about? I said, you sent me a jacket I can't wear. He said, it's not for wearing. I said, what do you mean it's not for wearing? He said, Dave, you need to know that money doesn't buy love and happiness. You're just like me, son. Hang it in the closet. Remind yourself every day you can't be the richest man in the cemetery. At 30, I wasn't ready to hear that. I told my dad, F you, I'm nothing like you. You're a liar, a cheater, manipulator, overseller, back-end seller. I want nothing to do with you. I'm nothing like you. I hate you. And I hung up. 6 years later, I'm running the most notable sports agency in the world, a dream job. I'm running the sports agency that they made the movie Jerry Maguire about. So not only am I a multimillionaire at 36, but I have access to things that billionaires can't even get access to. Sidelines at Super Bowl, the Oscars, the Grammys, the ESPYs, amazing things in my life. Not only am I married to my dream girl now, but I have 3 daughters, gorgeous, healthy daughters under 6. I have houses, golf course, ski mountain, boats, plane, whatever I wanted. And I decide that I'm going to ask my friend Rob, the same friend that asked my wife to go study at 6th grade camp. I decided I'm going to ask him to go to the Masters with me because he's a huge golf fan. We're going to go backstage to back in the cabins with Curtis Strange. We're going to the NetJet party. We'll fly private. Joe Montana, Wayne Gretzky, Warren Moon. I said, Rob, I got the best gift in the world, man. Come with me to the Masters. We're going to do all this. And he looks at me and he says, not a chance. I was like, what? Did you hear me? He said, oh, I heard you. He said, David, I don't like what you're doing, and I don't like who you hang out with. I said, Rob, I'm not doing what those guys are doing. He goes, Dave, you can lie to me, but I'm really worried that you're lying to yourself. And he walked away from me. I still get choked up today because I was so mad. I remember telling him, man, Rob, I hate you. And he looked back at me and just went like this. Still today, I'm not friends with Rob. 2 weeks later, my life would change forever. I went and asked my wife if I could go to the Grammy Awards with a rapper named Little John. She said, no, I'm worried about you. You're not paying attention to the family, not paying attention to your business, and you're partying way too much. I'm concerned. So of course I lied to her. I went to the Grammy Awards, came home at 5:30 in the morning, a complete disaster, and there she was waiting for me. She looked at me and she said, I'm not happy. I'm leaving you. And you better take stock in who you are and what you want to become, or you're going to end up dead. And I can't wait around to see that. I'm sorry. I looked at her and I said, how dare you? How dare you? After everything I did for you, you were sleeping on a couch for $50 a month when I met you. Look around you. Who do you think did all this? How dare you talk to me this way? I hate you. And I went to bed. Woke up in the morning full of hate, full of anger. And I'm sitting there thinking, how am I going to take my wife's happiness away? I'll get divorced. That's fine. I'll take all her money. I'll show her. And then I looked over in the closet. Changed my life. That jacket. I looked at that jacket. Still today, I remember thinking, man, I don't hate my dad. I don't hate my best friend. I definitely don't hate my wife. I hated myself. I was a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, overseller, back-end seller. I hated myself. And so I sat there and I remembered these 4 things, and I was going to take stock in them. Gratitude. forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration. Every day I practiced those for 16 years. 2 years after that day, I had to claim bankruptcy. I was so ready. I was so calm. I was so ready, knowing with faith that I was going to be okay. I knew that now I was happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. I had just figured out what I was doing to interfere with it over 2 years looking at these things. I saved my marriage. My wife was now pregnant with my fourth child, a son. Although I lost everything, imagine 33 homes, golf course, ski mountain, multi-million dollars, over $100 million, all gone. I'm now living in a rented house with rented furniture and one car, calm and at ease, confident and inspired that it all would come back to me because I'd cleared that interference, knowing that there's something bigger than me that loved me more than my mom, and I had lessons to learn. And I learned those lessons, and within 2 weeks, I made my first $1 million. I had clarity, balance, and focus on how to do it. I went and asked for help. Instead of trying to make everything happen, I simply just surrendered and asked for help. I lived, instead of ignorant arrogance, where I knew everything, even though I knew I didn't know. I pretended like I knew everything. I was Midas, I could make anything happen, to ignorant humility, radical humility, that I didn't know that I didn't know, that I was going to ask for help. And I went out, and people asked me, how the hell do you make that money back so fast? I just went to people and said, can you help me? What do you need? Would it help you if I did this? Do you know anyone else that can help me? And this simple strategy of open-minded versus closed-minded, asking for help and asking how I could be of help, has made multi-millions of dollars. It's put me into a place not only where I make a lot of money and help a lot of people and have a lot of fun, but my entire life is to empower others to do the same. If I can find 1,000 people, to empower 1,000 people, to empower 1,000 people, 1,000 times 1,000 is a million times 1,000 is a billion. I can create a collective consciousness with 1 billion people to change the world. A world of abundance where there's more than enough of everything for everyone.
Thank you so much to David for doing this and the film crew who went out and shot this project. You guys are absolutely amazing. Today's video was sponsored by Huel. If you want to find out more, go to the link in the description. And thank you to everybody who supported us at mulliganbrothers.com, where you can get the t-shirts, journals, and the posters. Buy one, get one free using code 2024. Guys, it's been a really fun year so far, but we're coming in hotter than ever. I'm just about to fly to New York in an hour to go produce some more projects and documentaries. We're setting up a studio out there. So if you've got any guests you think should be on the show, comment down below. If you're enjoying the show, let me know. If there's things you don't like about the show, am I talking too much? Am I not talking enough? Was the cameras out of focus? Was the sound off? Anything, guys, you let me know. We're coming to make the best podcast ever. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
When you're not dangerous, you're not really safe. You're just weak. But when you have power and force and strength, and then you choose to use that power and force and strength to be meek and kind and compassionate, to me, that's what it means to be masculine.